Hi friends, this is Caitlin. I am so happy to be here with you with Pink and Mane. I do think at some point I'm going to have to switch my headphones over because it's connected to my phone instead of my computer. And if you've been here recently, you know my phone hasn't been the most reliable. But yeah, I'm happy to be back here with you. Tonight we're going to be working with the Fun Froggies, which is our stamp and die of the month for April. And I asked you guys at the end of the last live if we wanted a shaker card or a card and a tag, and shaker card overwhelmingly won in the comments. So we're going to make a fun shaker card. So I have some items here. And let me switch over and then I'm going to fix my headphones while we're at it because, yep. There we go. There we go. Who knows if my camera will be back or not? Who knows? It's a mystery, but hopefully you guys can hear me. Um, here's all the things. I also grabbed for our shaker the new Butterfly Dreams confetti that's in the Crafty Courtyard kit. As far as I know, it'll be available on its own. Thought that would be really fun for our shaker mix. Like I said before, we have our Fun Froggies stamps and coordinating dies. There's also coordinating dies for the sentiments, which you know I am a huge fan of. And then I grabbed the Spring Flowers Emboss and Cut folder. We're going to use that to help make the border for our shaker. I also grabbed the Fun Scallop stitch dies for the same thing to make our little shaker border. And then these two papers come from the same paper pack. It's the Happy Days, I believe. All of this stuff is listed in the description too. But I was really loving these two together, and this one specifically is giving me very frog vibes. So that's kind of the direction we're headed in, and we'll see what happens from there. Who knows? Not me. I almost never know. All right, let's do a run through. Let's see, I saw Mom's here, Sherry's here, Virginia, Lisa, Connie, Jackie Ann's checking in, Miss Jody. Let's see, Jeanette, Susan, Ann, Lori. You guys have been busy in the comments. Kathleen, Maria. Let's see. Karen's here checking in. Peggy, Linda. All right, I think I'm caught up. So let's start working on this card. These are still attached to the other thing. So let me go ahead and separate these to start. Two papers. What else? That can go to the side. I did not grab packaging, but we are going to need some. I'm sure I have some extra. Something tells me I probably have some extra hanging out around here somewhere. I think I want to go ahead and run our flowers through our embossing folder at the same time that we take care of our stamped images. I see Robin's checking in with us. Irene is here, so I finally get to see you live. Yay, I'm glad so many people made it. I see some new names. Beverly's checking in. I've been trying to be better about putting the link in the Pink and Ink Facebook group. I feel like sometimes Facebook doesn't show everything to everybody on its own. Okay, so I have a piece of 5.5 by 6 ice rink cardstock that I'm going to run through my 6 by 6 embossing folder. I have to take out the little middle part of my sandwich here for my big shot. And we know we always put the hinge side in first. She says from experience. I think one run through is going to be enough for what I'm envisioning, but worst case, we can always do it again. All right, and the emboss and cut is great because it does just what it says it's going to do. It embosses and die cuts at the same time. So one pass through, and I have enough for 3 flowers and 3 leaves. You can also like layer these up if you wanted to, but we're going to do 3 separate flowers. But they do stack really pretty if you're going for like, I don't know, like a mum kind of a look, a layered flower look. Very fun. All right, that's that. Then we need to stamp our little frog. And I was thinking the garden frog because our umbrella frog doesn't feel like he's going to fit with the flowers. The garden, I don't know. Maybe we'll do both. Maybe we'll do garden frog and mushroom frog. I'm also leaning portrait versus landscape, and I feel like that's going to make a difference. I'm just going to cut this to A2. We might trim it down. We will trim it down, I should say. And this one, I'm just going to trim on the one side because this is going to be our like our little mini frame kind of part. I just want to get a feel, like if that frog's up there. Sorry, this is going to be hard it's to see in the clear, but I just want to get a feel of if we use garden frog and mushroom frog. And then we have this like kind of at the bottom with our flowers, our big flowers, right? Like that. And then behind them is all shakery and their sentiment. Poppy Spring is maybe like down here being cute. Yeah, those, I feel like those two definitely fit in the space. And it's going to give us like a nice scene feeling, like we're peeking in on this little scene. So let's go for both of those. We'll probably be cutting down a good bit of our flowers or die cut flowers, but that's fine. And then what I was just thinking is I'm going to end up combining these two packages to put the dies in with the stamps. So then we will have packaging to make our shaker because we're going to make a flat shaker today. See, everything works out. Trying that. It was definitely like a trending mantra thing last year, I think, maybe 2 years ago now. But I'm trying to bring it back for myself. Everything always works out for me. Everything always works out. Everything's fine. All right, I'm going to stamp these guys onto some Copic Express It with asphalt ink. I'm just rubbing stamps to get some of that coating off. Dinge them up a little bit so they have some grip for my ink. Ooh, I made the mistake of reading through the comment section yesterday on somebody who was in one of the card making groups, and she was like, how come all of these card making videos are so long? And people were going off in the comments about how long they are and how lives are so terrible because nobody ever shuts up. And I was like, man, they would really hate me. I shut up the whole time we're together. Mm. So I guess what I mean to say is I'm so grateful for you guys that do enjoy this and want to come hang out with me. And if you're in the replay crew and you like this, but you also watch it 2x speed and skip around, I also appreciate you because it means that you like my cards enough to still watch. And that is very lovely for me and for Pink and Main. Thank you for that. Yes, Jeanette, I agree. These frogs are so cute. I love their little stick figure legs. They're very sweet. I see Diane's checking in from Texas. Um, okay, I think I'm good. Everybody's just saying hi. Okay. Whew, all right, let's jump in to these little frogs, and we're going to be probably coloring up our flowers too, versus inking. I think it'll just honestly go faster because I want them to be pretty simple. We don't have red. We're going to use this as our color match. I usually go for a red mushroom. We don't have red, but we do have this really fun kind of hot pink. So I think we'll do hot pink mushroom. But since that's going to give us a higher risk of bleeding, we should probably start elsewhere. So let's start with our frogs. Let's see. We're going to do something a little different. I was playing around with these markers yesterday and I think I like how they turned out. Let's go BG96, which is very unsaturated, desaturated, one of those. It's got a lot of gray to it. It's not super vibrant. Okay, and we're gonna just shade on the under part of his face and his back. Same for this. These stamps are so easy to color because there's not a ton of detail. So you don't have to color in a ton of detail either, right? Your coloring can kind of match the detail level of the image that you're working on. So it can be really simple if you want it to be. Then we're going to make sure we're fully overlapping, but we're going to come in with YG25 right on top of that BG. And it's just going to give us a really nice little shadow there. Even though we're kind of jumping color families, right? BG and YG, blue-green to yellow-green. It's so gray that it just reads as a gray shadow. Then we're going to jump to YG03. And again, just making sure that that color overlaps well with the YG25. Very cute. And then we're just going to bring in one very yellow green for their little bellies. Easy peasy. We do have leaves here. Let's bring in that middle shade, that YG25 for our leaves. Okay. Keep that really simple. Oh, thanks, Linda. Oh, Robin, I love that. Yeah, I think it's fun too because me and Donna and Libby all and Michelle all have very different styles and like live styles too, right? Like none of us are out here doing the same stuff, and the cards that we make are also different. I just think it's fun. It's fun to see, everybody's different take on whatever we're working on. Let's bring in some Y15 for the insides of our little flowers here. I want to try to get like a little bit of each color. So this is going to be pink. This we're going to make gray, the under part. So the watering can be this like blue, which is a little bit of like a softer blue, like a little more of a gray blue. And I don't want that to be completely plain. That was B34. Maybe a little B97, just on the back and the bottom. Just go back in and tap that out with that 34. So there's our blue. We need purple, orange, and light pink. That purple looks pretty light. That looks gray though. Don't love that. That's pink. That's good. A little B25. There's not enough room here to worry about shading on these little flowers. Just gonna skip that. Oh, thank you, Peggy. Yeah, I love our little group. And I love that you guys get to chat in the comments too. I try to go back and read most of what you guys talk about because it's hard to keep up. Yeah, I love that too. Feels like a safe little corner of the internet that we've kind of made for ourselves over here, huh? How about some RV13? I'm just guessing on these ones. And then that little heart. I think that looks very cute. Oh, very simple, easy. We also need some brown for this little dirt patch that he is gardening in, or she, okay, whatever. The frogness. All right, and then I'm going to do the gray under part of our mushroom first. Again, I don't want to pick up any pink after we color the top part. So a little W7 on the stalk in the very like inner part of the mushroom. Then we're going to jump to W5. Thanks, Robin. Yeah, coloring is my favorite part of card making. Coloring books don't give me enough freedom. Card making is like the perfect combination for me of coloring and, the ability to turn it into whatever I want and mix and move things around. But watching people color is how I got into card making. Watching card makers coloring, I guess I should say, is how I found card making in general on YouTube. So videos, the video part and the lives have always been super important to me. That's how I got here. Okay, now we have this very right. That's not bad. Let's find markers. Oh, she's dry. That's the color we need, but she's too dry. We're gonna have to make that work. All right, we're gonna do a little RV 69 under our little frog's booty. And then because I put the shadow on the right-hand side, because our frog is going to be on the right-hand side of our card, I'm going to lay the shadow of on our mushroom cap over to the right as well. Got a little mistake over there, but that's okay. And I'm also going to add just like a couple little shadows on the bottom just to break it up because that's a big space. Then we're going to jump to RV 09. So from 69 to 09. And that's not making an easy jump. So I'm going to pick up some of my 69 on my lighter marker and pull that color through. And that's going to help bridge that gap. And just pull that color out towards the center as well. Then some RV, oh nope, RV06 is completely dried up. And then we switch, we pivot. What about you? Yeah, that might work. RV04. It's a little harsh. So we can go and do the same thing we did before. Do a little of that tip to tip color blending. If that marker hadn't been dried out, I probably wouldn't need this, but I can't change that now. And if you don't want to do that with your markers, you can always kind of go back and forth with them. The trick is not to oversaturate your paper though. Okay, that looks better. And I want to come back in with the RV13 from our light flower, our light pink, and just color those in because I wasn't the tidiest with those markers, but I think a little light pink will work there. And we can also come back in with a little bit of our W1 and push out a little bit of that marker there where I went over. I think that'll be okay. I'm going to come in with an 8 white gel pen and give him little eye dots. His eyes are closed, so he doesn't need them. But I think this will be extra cute with like way too many highlights for me, like way more than normal highlights, I think. Especially because the coloring on this was so simple. I think a little white highlight will kind of make it fancy. Just some little extra highlights. Oh, thank you, Linda. I really appreciate you guys. Yeah, Karen, I always color size. I try so hard to not turn it so much for you, but sometimes I forget. So sorry about that. And my camera's all crooked today too. But yeah, I definitely like write and color completely sideways. So if that's you too, do not fret. You know what I forgot? We need to do these, right? I don't want them to be white. That's too plain. I guess we're gonna do a pink, a purple, and an orange because that's what we did on there. So what are we gonna do? Not orange is our biggest. Pink is the one I'm gonna have the hardest time shading to match, I think. So let's start with the smallest one being pink. I'm just drawing spikes out from the center. That was our view of 4. Then we jumped to 19. Should have started with 19 first. And so let's forward to pull that color out. Okay. And then what was our highlight? Our lightest pink was RV13. So I'm going to pull that from the opposite direction. We're going to pull that from the ends of our petals towards them. Right, you can see very different approach. And it looks a little messy in the middle, but once we add the little circle, it's going to all make sense. In fact, I need a little extra, it looks like, of our RV19. So that way when we cover up the center, we don't lose all that shading. Okay, and we're basically just going to do that 3 times with different colors. Purple, we did V25. So let's do a little 28, 22. Same thing. Starting with our darkest this time though, because I'm actually thinking through what I'm doing. Sherry, it could be your cap if you're using the same marker, but I do find that my colorless blender, I run through really quick. I will tell you that because of that, I find myself using my zero Olo a lot. So just something to keep in mind. It's the same thing. They work. You can use your Olos and your Copics with each other. We've done that many times, but especially the colorless blender and zero, because the Olo is just way juicier of a marker. Unfortunately, I wish Copic would get their act together, to be honest. All right, so there's our purple, which is very pretty. And I want to make sure, same thing, if I hold that up, we still have some good dimension there, so that's good. And on these, we did the centers yellow, So we're going to also do these centers yellow. I don't think anybody would be like, oh, that they exactly match. But if we have the stuff for it, we might as well. Right? All right, with the orange, I only have that one color, so I'm going to bring in my go-to oranges. So we're doing YR09 for our darkest shade. Then we'll jump to YR68. If you have been here in the fall with me, you'll know these are my go-to pumpkin colors as well. And for anybody who's like, oh, coloring, you have to be so precise. This is the kind of coloring that you don't have to be precise at all for, right? You guys can see I'm not doing anything special. This one, we want a ton of texture. We want all of that color broken up. And by keeping my marker flat and using the side of the marker instead of the point, we're keeping those embossed lines as well. And we get all of that beautiful texture added in. Okay, that's our orange. I used Y15 for the flower centers, but let's also bring in a little Y19. And I'm gonna just kind of do like a loose C or U shape on these with that darker 19, just so they don't look flat compared to everything else we're doing. But then I'm just gonna fill the whole rest of that in. Again, holding this sideways so that the little dots, for the smaller ones, the embossing isn't gonna do as much. But for the medium and the large flower, the embossed lines and these little dots, I think really pop. Okay. And then our green, we'll do the same greens that we used for our frog. So BG96 to start. And I'm not even following those little stems. I'm just going to do little flicks. We're going up that main vein and then little flicks coming out from there. Like that. Go over that with our YG25. And then YG03 to fill that in. Okay. Yeah, I know we've had our differences as a group with our the snowflake emboss and cut, but this one I've never had an issue with ever, like in how it cuts. So if you were here in the winter for any of that, just know I don't have a solution for that folder, but this folder does not have the same problem at all. How do you know where to add your white lines? Oh, Sherry, you probably meant like white gel pen. I just make up where to draw them. I like to put them on the outer edges of things in general, but like I just add them. I just go crazy and add them wherever. Sorry. I wish I just, yeah, anywhere in my mind where something is curved or curving away from me, and there would be like a little shine on it because it's curvy. But then, like on the flowers and stuff, I just add it wherever. For that kind of stuff, there's no rules. I think if you make the decision to make it a style choice versus realistic, it frees you up a lot. It frees my mind up at least to not worry about it as much. I'm not going for realism here. We just want it to look cute. And the more you add, the cutesier it looks, just like as a style. So if you're going for like super cartoony cutesy, which I think these lend themselves to really well, then adding some extra white never hurt anybody. Okay. We're gonna have to die cut a sentiment. I think we might not. We might just be able to stamp it on there. Let's see which one of these is bigger. The die. So we're gonna use our stamp sleeve for our shaker. We're gonna pop these little sleeve guys back in. For now, we might need them again. I don't know. But for now, we'll be okay. We won't be ready for our sentiment for a minute here. There. Okay, and now we have our shaker piece. This is going to get trimmed down. Like I said, I warned you before. To 4 by 5 1/4. So it's just going to give us a little frame, but it's going to mean that I can wrap this as the shaker a lot easier. Oh, I should have checked. Are you even big enough for a shaker for this? That's going to be tight, but it should be fine. This is going to get trimmed off the bottom. And get trimmed off the top. So now we have like a little tube. Linda, you're totally right. I definitely forgot to blush them. I think they would look adorable with blush. I'll add that in just a second. So I'm just peeling this at the seams. So now I have 2 pieces. Let's grab, I think 20 is going to be a little too white. So let's go 22. There they are. Very cute. Thank you for the reminder. All right, so to make our flat shaker, we're going to put our acetate sheet is going on the front. Then we're just going to flip this over. And I have that very thin easy tear tape. You can use tape runner if you want. I just very much recommend you don't use liquid glue. We're going to do this all the way around. And then we're only going to peel up 3 sides. to start. And you can get, Pink and Main has shaker pockets if this feels like a lot or you're not someone who has packaging around. I say I have a whole bin in there. That's why I knew we'd be okay no matter what happened. Bin of packaging basically that I've held on to. But you can do a shaker pouch or shaker pocket if that's easier too. So I'm going to hold this in place. I'm trying to have it kind of centered around my acetate and fold over our three sides that I peeled. And you want to make sure it's not super tight. You don't want it to be super gappy here, but you don't want it to be so tight that you're not going to be able to fit your shaker bits in. So I like to kind of just like gently hold it down in the middle and fold without pulling. Just kind of let it fall where it wants to fall. And when you do this, you're going to end up with these little flaps. You just trim those off. If you're doing loose glitter, you have to be a little careful about how much you trim off. But for these big pieces, it's going to be fine. So what we've made is a little pocket for ourselves. And we're going to put some of our butterfly, what are you, dreams confetti. So this is a mix of some of our sequin confettis and these beautiful little clay butterflies. They're so cute. They're like little dainty butterflies. We'll pour some in, kind of temporarily hold this over, give it a good starting shake. We want to make sure that this stuff doesn't get all stuck in the corners. And just kind of get a feel for how much space that's covering. I think we need more. And you can always add more sequins to these kind of mixes too if you want the butterflies to like last longer. I kind of like a dense shaker, especially for one like this where we're going to be covering the bottom. So when you shake it, it's going to be like, oh my gosh, it's going to be like a surprise. So that's good. And you can see I put a ton in there and we still have at least half of that. I probably put more than most people would, but you know, in the words of Tim Holtz, you do you. All right, we'll clip those little corners. And now we have a very fun cookie pouch. So let's assemble our card. Let's put it on an actual card base. How about that? Here are card bases. All right, so I have an A2 little pre-poured card base here. We're going to reinforce that. Thanks, Missy. Okay. And I wanted that little white border, so we're going to get that all the way around here. We can take this and you can, again, use double-sided tape or tape runner. The reason I didn't give you a why. The reason why I don't suggest using liquid glue when you're doing these kind of shaker cards is it would take forever for them to dry enough for you to keep going. So like a tape situation is going to be way easier for you to use. All right, so now we need to figure out how high up our little green border is going to go. Here, you know what? Let's run it through with our die first so we know exactly how high up we're coming. I think I want to do this one that has like multiple sizes. Yeah, Misty, a real card, a whole card on an actual card base, not just a card front. Okay. And this is not necessary. You could just leave it straight. Look at this. How am I going to do this? I just like these little borders so much. All right, so that gave us that sweet little scallop. That's broken. Yeah, I also love the red line tape. I have some of that here somewhere too. Okay, so we have our cute little border and our little frogs are probably going to pop in like that maybe. I don't know about him exactly where he's going to go. Something like that. Probably in the front and then him in the back. So I want to kind of place this so there's some room obviously out here on the bottom because we want to be able to put our flowers. And we can always put like pop one up at the top too if we need. But I want to make sure that there's room for my little mushroom guy to not be touching the very tippy top. So I think that looks pretty good. I'm going to take a pencil and mark it on either side where that card ends. I can go to my wire trimmer and line up my two little pencil marks there. All right, so that's going to look like that. These guys are going to go here-ish. Then we have to figure out these. Let's assemble our flowers really quick. That's kind of fun. Maybe like lift this up just like a little bit. And obviously we have our like leaves we can tuck around because then our sentiment can go in here. Let's see. A little hoppy spring. Like that. She's a very busy card, but I still think it's fun. I really like it. I kind of like this flower up with the mushroom a little bit. And then that would give that a little more breathing room. I do kind of like the idea of it on white though, because we see the white behind our frog and the background has some white. So I think we're going to stamp and die cut a hoppy. But instead of black, let's do it with dress shop. That hot pink. It'll tie really well with that mushroom. What do you think? I think I like it. Oh, we're still doing really good on time. I've been nailing it with timing this last like 2 weeks. See, that dress shop pink is just like perfect. Poppy spring. Just past an hour. Sleeve. Dies out. Oh, let's do that. It's got to be this one, right? Yeah. Okay. Poppy spring. My garden is coming along so good, but this coming week, next week, we're supposed to have a day where it drops down to 29 degrees at night, and now I'm panicking because when I checked before, the forecast said nothing under 35 before our supposed last frost date. And so now I'm all worried about how many, most of my plants I can still bring in, but not all of them. My lettuces are probably going to die. And that makes me very sad. I'm going to try to get a frost blanket situation set up for them. Oh, I added tape runner to the back of this, and we're going to get that lined up across the bottom. And you could trim this. We could have trimmed this down to have the white border all the way around, but I really like when the pockets kind of look like a pocket. But I want you to see too what I meant by having it be like a wow. If you hold it like that, you have no idea that this is even a shaker. And then all of a sudden, there's just so much stuff in there. Um, I just think that's really fun, like a little surprise. Okay, mushroom frog. It's gonna go. I don't want him. I want him to hang over the edge to kind of break that little wall. I don't want him too far over the edge. And this little pink flower, I kind of liked popping over that to kind of bring those two worlds together. And this will trim off. I think this sounds so silly. I'm going to take this little bit that was under him and I'm going to color it. I used E25 when I colored it. I'm going to color more of it. This seems so extra, but I don't like that you can see the shaker under him, like between him and the green. And I don't want him to be like completely tucked away so that you can't see the watering can in his hand. So I'm gonna tape this the back. So now he's got some like extended garden dirt. All right, and that's now too big. So we'll trim that uncolored part away. There we go. That's definitely more of the vibe. Kind of rounding these little corners too, and we're going to try to be strategic in how we place them behind these scallops, just like that. Just so that there's those little gaps where there you would be able to see the shaker acetate behind, and now we just don't. Okay. And this little flower I had up here, I'm going to bring it down a little to balance out how much lower he is. So just kind of filling and eating up some of that space. Again, hanging off of the edge. We're going to trim those off. And then there's 3 leaves, one for each size. So our medium one, I'm going to put at the top again to kind of fill this space a little more. Our small one will do pointed down to kind of eat up some of that empty space. And then our big, large flower. Oh, I'm gonna see this. Hold on. Oh my goodness. Yeah, Misty, please be careful. Cover them. Pop up the flower. Yeah, we could pop up the flowers. I think that there's already a lot going on with this one. So I think I'm gonna, well, I mean, it's already too late now. I just saw that, but I think with the shaker and everything else that it's okay to not have them popped up. But if you want to pop them up, more power to you. Okay, so there's our flowers. Let's add our sentiment. I'm gonna just use the dots on my pattern paper to line this up, because even if it's not straight to the world, if the paper is a little crooked and I try to make it straight, it's gonna look dumb. So if you're gonna hand deliver or put this in like a padded envelope, you could leave these flowers hanging over for sure. Very fun. I'm gonna chop them because I intended to chop them from the beginning. So I'm not upset about it. Squish that over. You can also do this with scissors. That's less stressful. So yeah, there is our very fun shaker card. Like I said, she's a lot, but I mean, I would be very excited to get a card like this in the mail. I know my girls would have loved something like this for sure. So a little happy spring, little shaky shake card. And this flower placement you could do with any little scene, right? It'd be super cute. Just switch it up for summer or even like fall. Christmas could be hard, but you can make it work. So yeah, that is our very sweet Libby said I had a request to do shakers, so I'll be doing that for the daytime crowd tomorrow. Love that. Love that. Yeah, we did I asked everybody to leave me comments on Tuesday if they wanted a shaker or a card and matching tag, and shaker won hands down. So we made ourselves a fun spring flat shaker tonight. But thank you guys all so much for coming to hang out with me. I definitely think this one turned out really cute. I like this one a lot. It's a very happy card. So yeah, you can hang out with Libby tomorrow afternoon for another fun shaker. Um, I'll be back here on Tuesday next week with some more fun spring cards. I'm in full spring mode, so we're just going to have all the springtime fun. If you have requests for next week, you can always leave me some comments of what you'd like to see. I do appreciate any thumbs up that you want to give. But otherwise, I will see you guys back here next week. I hope you have a great weekend. I will see you guys soon. And until next time, happy crafting. Have a good night.